Felicitations! It is me, Felicia Day, and this is my podcast where I talk about what happened to me, things I'm thinking, thoughts in my head, and what I have consumed that week. Nom nom nom. As well as sometimes interviews and other things. I don't know. No interview today. I know I said last week I was going to be doing an interview. The week got away from me in a really bad way, I will admit. I had a bout of depression this week, and I've been extremely anxious in a way that I have not been anxious since way before my baby, before I was even pregnant. And I don't know, guys. It's a lot of personal stuff, social stuff, things, I don't know. It's just been a hell week. It's been a lot of conflicting emotions, a lot of confusion, a lot of questioning, second guessing, paranoia. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. It's been really tough. And the good thing is that when I get anxious, I'm able to have coping mechanisms now so that I will recognize it after a couple days and be like, oh, let's do something about it. Because honestly, I think anxiety is tied a lot to powerlessness. We have this perception that we are powerless to change who we are, what is being done to us, where we are and where we're trapped. And I always find that it's just like a pressure thing. If you're able to release the pressure somehow, little ways or large ways, you're able to cope more. So a lot of my anxiety was tied to politics, and I, from the beginning, was like, this is not a political podcast. But at a certain point, when you're seeing children being taken away from their families and hear them, crying, and the people who are supposed to be taking care of them kind of mocking it. I mean, there was some traumatic stuff this week, if you were following the news, that it made me just question humanity. It made me question being an American, and it made me feel so powerless and helpless and lost that this country and people just could be doing this to other people. And so I decided, finally, I got to do something about this. So I'm doing a 12-hour charity stream on Twitch on June 30th. It's the same day that there are going to be marches all around the country, probably around the world. Thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not 1 million people are going to be marching to keep families together. Because even though this whole thing they signed to reverse what they actually decided themselves to do, it's crazy, guys. It feels like I'm being gaslighted, but we all are. But anyway, they're not actually doing anything extra to reunite the families that have already been separated. So there are 2,400 children out there who have been scattered around the country with no way to track them. So I want to raise money for this great charity called RISIS that specifically is doing legal advocacy for immigrants and children. So it's something and the minute I decided to do that, it was scary because I'm so stressed lately and I'm just overwhelmed and just very, very busy. But the minute I decided to do something, it felt so empowering, and my anxiety lessened by 50%. It also helped that I have a lot of friends who stepped up, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And they were like, let us try, help you. And I have 10 people helping me behind the scenes. It just felt like actually people coming together because everybody wanted to do something, and we're all feeling so impotent and powerless. And if you provide an outlet for that sort of feeling, I don't know, it just feels like you can live with yourself again. So, not to get too heavy, it's a heavy subject, but at the same time, we're going to be playing video games and board games, and we're just going to be messing around. We are giving away so many codes and stuff. People have been stepping up, just giving me stuff on Twitter, and it just feels good. It feels like people want to come together and do good. And honestly, on my social media this week, I drew the line. I was like, listen, this is not a political issue. This is a human decency issue. I don't care what you think about immigration and what you want to do about it. If you want to just never let another person in, you don't take a 3-year-old from a mom. There are certain decency things that I think, especially the America that I'm proud of, would not believe in. So I think a lot of people, 99.9% of people, are amazing. And I basically said on social media, I'm like, listen, if this is okay for you, don't follow me. Get away. Just go away. Because you can disagree with me on Social Security and environmental regulations. All right, I'll respect you as long as you're not rude. But this is a line where I don't know if I can't respect you as a human if you're okay with stuff like this. And it's surprisingly few people. And, a handful on each platform. And it felt good. It felt good to just have a standard. And I think, we all feel like we're kind of captive to that sort of public presentation of ourselves online. And I'm a kind of person who wants everybody to love me all the time. And I have anxiety dreams over just like, oh my God, did I slight him because I said I didn't like Long Beach? Is he from Long Beach? He's going to hate me. Oh my God. You know, those kind of things, because I have this paranoia about, I'm a people pleaser. It's a thing I've worked on over the years that hasn't gotten that much better. But it felt really good to be like, you know what? I do have a line, and I don't need that participation from that person, because honestly, I wouldn't like that person in real life probably. We might like something together like video games or board games or RPGs, but as a person, we have such a different standard that I'm not cool with it anymore. So that felt empowering too, just that little step. And, you know, I've seen people online, friends who've been like, I just have to get offline. I have to have some self-care and I need to log off for 2 or 3 days. And that's okay too. It's actually awesome because you can come back fresh with and find your voice again. So that's my little getting on the, you know, preachy step thing. And the live stream is going to be great. So come on and join us. And I'll also be releasing a charity shirt next week. It's really cool. And it has a great logo that you can use, you know, for many, I think, for a long time. It's not just so specific to this, but it's universal. And I'm really proud of it. And all the proceeds will be going to charity as well. So, yeah, doing some good with you guys' help. And that's it. What happened this week? It's going to be a short podcast because I wanted to do an interview. And I just, like I said, I was depressed. And you know, when you get depressed, it feels like literally I had to call my lawyer for some random lame reason, and it took 5 days. I had to put Post-it notes everywhere, and it felt like when I was dialing, it felt like going through molasses. And I know it's irrational, but like phone calls especially are my outlet of avoidance and delay. I used to, I mean, I'm not kidding, I would delay months just calling like to service my car. Yeah, but once they got an online portal, damn, I was there in a minute. I have a really clean muffler. And that is not an analogy for anything. So, life-wise, I've been really busy. I've been doing a lot of meetings. I've been closing some deals to do some creative projects that I'm super excited about that will like see me through the end of the year. I can't talk about them, of course. This is whenever I talk to somebody who's like, why is X actor so boring on Twitter? Guess what? When you're working on stuff you can't talk about, you have to be boring. By definition, you're boring. Because you are barred from talking about the interesting thing that is consuming your life. So I have these cool things that are going to happen. I have a couple projects that I'm working with other cool people on that we're trying to get, you know, so lots of Hollywood projects where, you know, meetings where I have to do my hair, which is irritating. But hey, if I had to do my hair to pay for my baby, I'm going to do it. In my life, let's see, I have new couches coming. So I got old couch. I have to get rid of my old couches. I had to pay $100 for somebody to come haul away my other couches. And because nobody would take my couches because the slip covers were all screwed up because of my cat. And now, so I got online and I ordered literally everything on Amazon to prevent a cat from scratching or harming a new couch. Because I'm like, I love my cat, but oh no, you are not going to scratch my new couches. They are beautiful. They are off-white. They are clean and pristine. And you know, I had love seats before, so you couldn't actually lay on them unless you were like a small person. But now I got a 7-foot couch and I'm just like, whoa, baby, naps in. I'm going to give me some naps. Give me them naps. So I'm really cool. I'm really excited about that. But I had to pay somebody to come get the love seats because when I took pictures of the love seats and sent them to charities, they were like, we don't want your trash. Rightly so. But then I was like, hey, if you're handy, you can sew a new slipcover on this. It's not like somebody peed on it. No. I mean, I spilled a lot of Doritos on it, but I could vacuum out that dust. So anyway, I did give away one piece of furniture to Habitat for Humanity, which made me feel like a good person. And I don't know why I'm going to this detail because I have literally nothing else more interesting to talk about. Oh, well, big announcement. My baby is now in her big girl bed. Hoo-hoo! Yep. I finally got her to sleep in her big girl bed, you guys. And she is 16 months old, and she's sleeping now on a twin bed on the floor because she hates cribs. She's always been like, hey, I slept in that Tempur-Pedic of yours. Why are you putting me in this cage? So doesn't want to be in the cage. She's been sleeping in the bed with me, and literally she as a human can take up more room than 4 adults. Like a California king can fit one of these babies and maybe half an adult. Because she's able to sleep diagonal and sideways, and it's awful, you guys, and I'm so tired. So finally, one day I was like, do you want to sleep in your big girl bed? And she was like, yeah. And I went, what? So we finally got her to get in there. And the only problem is I have to sit there and lay with her and put her to sleep. And the way I put her to sleep, you guys, is I'm trying not to like nurse her to sleep because hello, I want my boobs back 1 year, please. But so I basically do ASMR bedtime stories. I go, I am a bunny. My name is Nicholas. I live in a hollow tree. In the spring, I like to pick flowers. I'll read that book and then I'll go, in the great green room, there was a telephone and a red balloon and a picture of... And then I'll like slowly stretch out the story. That was Goodnight Moon. So I'll have like 3 or 4 I've memorized and I'll do them as slow and as quiet as possible. And then I'll run out of those stories. But she's never asleep yet. So then I do every animal ever I could think of. I'm like, good night, elephant. Long pause. Good night, goats. Long pause. Night, night, buddy rabbits. Really long pause. Good night, Cthulhu. And then I will go on for as long as I can remember. And then at the end, when I just can't think of any, like I'll be like, good night, starfish. Good night, gibbon. Good night. Good night. And I'll just like make up nonsense until she goes to sleep. It works maybe 40% of the time, but most of the time I just end up having to read her like 25 books and then we do it again. It's really irritating, but at the same time, I get like 6 hours in my bed. Oh, it's so beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful to sleep. So that's the big thing that happened this week. Other than that, I made some cookies that didn't turn out well. I did a couple other things I can't talk. I mean, it's bad, you guys. It's bad. But next week, I have a lot more time, and I'm going to be working on my writing, and I will have an interview, I promise, even if it's Ryan coming back next week. So anyway, other stuff that I did, I took, another kid story. Listen, you're going to get a lot of kid stories on this, and if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. It's kind of my life. I mean, I have not picked up my Nintendo Switch I went to E3. That's what I did. Oh, I knew I had. I was like, wow, this is really thin. I forgot with all the political drama, the social drama, the baby drama. I went to E3 last week. Oh boy, you guys. It was so fun. It was so fun. I felt like old Felicia for the first time in like 2 years. It's been 3 years since I went to E3. Ubisoft sent me an email and was like, hey, do you want to go? We'd love to show you Assassin's Creed, which, the last one I was like, okay with. This new one is unbelievable, you guys. If you liked BioWare at all, if you like their stories, they have romance in the new Assassin's Creed, and it's set in ancient Rome, which is awesome because it actually tied into the book I read this week, which I want to talk about after this. So it was kind of like this amazing, like, immersion into a culture I love. I've read a lot of books about Greek and Roman times. There was a great book called SPQR by a woman named Mary. I can't remember her last name. She's one of the leading scholars in Roman history in England. And it's this fantastic book about the fall of Rome and the rise of Rome and the fall of Rome. And really, you understand the political things, and it's scarily evocative of what's going on nowadays, actually. You could see where the country just went wrong. And how Rome really just degraded. And it was all about the leadership kind of being really selfish and out for themselves. I mean, and having crazy, insane leaders that they kind of propped up to use to kind of loot the government. So it's a great book. and the context is really interesting, right now. So I would highly recommend that book. But anyway, let's talk about Assassin's Creed before we talk about books, because oh boy, it's so beautiful. And you can play as a female or a male protagonist, which I love playing a girl. And you can the girl can romance other girls or men. So you have a lot of play in your play when you're playing around. I'm awful today. So I would highly recommend you guys check it out. Any kind of E3 movies, just check. I mean, it is beautiful. It's very bright and colorful and really welcoming and not desaturated and kind of dingy. And so it was a real surprise. I also checked out the new Fallout. I don't know. I mean, I love Fallout more than anything. It's my favorite world other than like World of Warcraft. But I'm really worried about the PvP because I just don't enjoy PvP that much. I have a really high startle reflex and I get really anxious and I don't want to be hunted for fun in my video games. I've said this before. So I will 100% be trying it out. I just don't know if it's going to stick with me. It just depends on how traumatized I am by being like killed in my like favorite world. I would love to build my own house though. If they have, I just got to look more into it. So it was kind of brief. Also let's see. What else looked really good? I mean, the Nintendo stuff looks amazing. I got to go into the Nintendo and play the new Pokemon, which is great. I accidentally took a couple pictures of it and posted them. I had to take them down because they were like, you weren't supposed to do that. Oops. The new Overcooked looks fantastic. And it was so fun. I played with three other friends, and we were just like, I had no idea what we were doing. Definitely not good quality of cooking, but very, very fun gameplay. We played, a new Smash. And, I'm awesome at it because I can smash a lot of buttons. Like, I'm not awesome. There's no method to it, but I'm actually pretty good when I play Kirby. When I play a tall person in Smash, I'm really bad at it. I don't know. It's like the gravity. I need low slung gravity. But when I play a tiny person in Smash, I would say, win at least 60% of the time against my friends who are not very good either. So we're not experts, okay? Sorry. So it looked really good. And I don't know. It seemed like E3 turned a corner. It was the last couple of years, I kind of missed it. I sort of like separated myself from the video game world a little bit because I don't know, there was a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I had to kind of prioritize like my career, like the way I pay for myself is not necessarily through video games. So I was like, okay, listen, you have a baby now, you got to be ruthless about your time, no more video games. And then the baby, I feel guilty, like, hey, I'm just gonna go play video games for fun down here. But anyway, honestly, it was great. I'm going to do it every single year from now on. Mom's going to have some fun. Come on, guys. So that was really, really, really fun. And I saw a lot of friends who worked in the industry themselves. And it was really long. Oh, the Spider-Man. That's it. The Spider-Man game looks amazing on the PS4. And then for some reason, there was a statue of Norman Reedus with a fetus in a weird capsule. I post with a lot of things. Look at my Instagram. Me and Sonic. If Ryan was there, he would have punched him in the face, but I don't mind Sonic when he's not in a game. So it was great. And I highly recommend checking out summaries, because I do think this was a really awesome year. Especially there were a lot of games with like women protagonists and stuff. And for me, that's really fun. And, I'll play a guy character too. I played 1.5 million of them. Nathan Drake, great character. I'll play him any day of the week. Well, no, not anymore, right? Anyway. Well, I don't know how long I've been talking, but it's going to be short because I got nothing. I got nothing. So I read some books this week. Woo! Nom nom nom. I need a sound effect. I need a producer. I need some help on this thing. I will have an interview next week. I said that already, didn't I? Oh boy. So I read this amazing book and I highly, 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 highly recommend it. It's the #1 New York Times bestseller, so it's not like a lot of you probably haven't read it already. It is called Circe by Madeline Miller. And it basically humanizes the witch. She was a demigod, the goddess. She's a goddess of magic. So she's in a lot of the old stories, like the Homer's Odyssey. She's in other different books from the period, but obviously most famous from the Odyssey. So she's a witch, and it's a fascinating, awesome historical reimagining of her life. And I love Greek and Roman mythology more than anything. It's my favorite thing. When I was a kid, I had this huge mythology book and I would read it over and over and over again. I wanted to be Artemis more than anything. Clearly, if you saw the flog, I am not good at archery, so not a good casting for me. Maybe Athena, because I'm kind of a know-it-all. I don't know. She's not very fun, though. Who would you want to meet at a bar? You know, I would definitely want to hang out with Hermes, because he seems like a hoot, you guys. Zeus, no way. He would be a hashtag Me Too. Hello. Hera, no fun. She'd be like, what is your bag? What brand is that? I mean, I think Athena would be okay. She'd be kind of in the corner on her phone, probably. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's a great book by Madeline Miller. It's in hardback, but I really, really highly recommend it. It has like romance and fantasy and magic, and it's a really just a cool character study. I am reading this week. I'm going to be reading. But I wanted to talk about Questlove. I remember last week I said I wanted to talk about Questlove's Creative Quest. So Questlove, as you probably know, is a musician. He has a band, and he's also on the Jimmy Fallon. He leads the band there on Jimmy Fallon's show, and he's incredible. He also has a TV show and like books on cooking. And reading this book, you just fall in love with him as a person. So I love this book, except I just want to admit it. I don't listen to a lot of music, you guys. And he talks about music a lot in this book. And to me, I need to go back and read the book and listen to the music that he's referencing all the time along the way, so that A, I can get what he's talking about, and B, basically be educated in all things funk and rap and hip hop and everything else. He's a nerd, guys. He's a total music nerd. And he's the kind of guy who learns everything about something and moves on. And he's kind of like, you know, he even talks about the way he deals with like drumming and drum patterns and drum rhythms and stuff like that. Like he puts things together. He's almost like he does. It's a weird kind of like a version of fan fiction, because he's like, oh, that's the riff from X song and all these things. It's really fascinating, his process and the way his mind works. And it's kind of a wandering book, so it doesn't have it doesn't have a really strict focus, but there's so many surprising observations along the way that I highlighted that just really stuck with me. A lot of the thing toward the end of the book that stuck with me the most was his commentary on like online consumption. And I have a couple of like excerpts that I highlighted that were really interesting. As long as I've been going online, I've had the suspicion that it was doing something to my brain, not necessarily making it weaker, but transforming it into a different kind of instrument. Rather than stay inside itself and cultivate ideas, it knows that it has to go out into the world and find ideas to match some impulses and instincts that are beginning to stir. With the help of the online world, the brain is more of a hunter-gatherer and less of a farmer. At a fundamental level, that seemed less creative, or at the very least, less of a process of creation that was taking place inside of my own head. And I think that's really true. And I think there's a lot of studies that say that boredom is where creativity springs. You're not going to have, I don't think you're going to have really original creative thoughts or creative ideas or brainstorms when you're occupied all the time consuming and intaking other people's output online. I know that when I give myself a diet, a social media diet and an internet diet, and I make myself journal by hand in the morning, and I make myself read a book, like a physical book at night, I know that that's when I do some of my best creative work during those periods. But it's just really hard. It's really hard because not only do we have that sort of like, that sort of reward feedback loop that becomes addictive in our brains. We want that sort of we want that interaction with another human, even though it's not real interaction. It's a piece of them that we're able to consume and feel like it's something significant. So I don't know. It was really interesting. Those sections, I think his observations on that were the ones that resonated with me a lot. There was another thing that really, really resonated with me, talking about being presentational online. And I've struggled with this over the years. I don't know if you guys, many years ago, the second year of Geek and Sundry, I uploaded a video called The State of Geekdom, where I was kind of lamenting, what geekdom meant. It's not just consumption to me. It really is a state of mind. It's about being outside the world and seeing things differently from other people and maybe not feeling like you belong a little bit. And the fact that geek culture brought people like that together was really why I'm here, not necessarily because, hey, I want to hang out with everybody who likes Doctor Who or whatever. And so, he had Questlove has a comment. People who are purely presentational remain that way. I'm more worried about the effect of the internet on creative people. The goal of creativity may be to learn to present yourself to others in part, but it's not to present yourself at the expense of truth. The second you become your own product, you're headed down a chute rather than up a ladder. And that really resonated with me, because I think the times in my life where I felt very commoditized, or I was doing it to myself, or I was doing it for the benefit of a company or like a show or whatever, that kind of commoditization of self. I think a lot of us do that, especially online, because we're able to sort of like control our image a lot. And I think that leads to other people seeing a lifestyle or an image and thinking, I can't live up to that, or it's not feeling authentic, and you don't really connect on a human level with other people as much because you're so busy worrying how you're presenting yourself. So anyway, I would recommend the book, and I would say that if you're going to do it, definitely at least know some music. And if you don't, I would definitely listen to the music, like get a Spotify, listen on Spotify or YouTube or whatever. Listen to the things he's talking about, because even though there's a ton of music and it would take a long time to read, I think you get a really good crash course and comprehensive musical education, and especially the types of music that he loves. So Questlove's Creative Quest, highly recommended. Circe by Madeline Miller, highly recommended this week. Next week, I'm going to be reading one of my favorite authors, Jacqueline Carey, and she has a new book called Starless out, and I'm so excited. It looks scrumptious. It's about gods, which is always fun, about hot warriors, killing stealth warrior sect, and it looks just really good. Her series called Kushal's Dart is one of my favorite, the Kushal series is one of my favorite series. I've talked about it a lot in my old book club, Vaginal Fantasy. It is very graphic and sex, and it's all about like hitting sex, and no judgment. Never would be my type of entertainment, but the way she writes is just so epic, and it's one of the best love stories I've ever read. So I'm so excited to read her new book. It's amazing! TV-wise, I binged Nailed It, which is so funny and so awesome. So great. I want more episodes immediately. And I didn't consume anything else because I basically went to bed at 8 p.m. because I'm so exhausted and depressed. I didn't read anything. I would read Twitter, and then I would go to bed and have a panic attack. So this week, I am determined to not read Twitter 3 hours before bedtime, not look at my phone 3 hours before bedtime. I can watch a TV show. I can read a book on my Kindle, and that is it, because I can't live like this anymore. And none of us can, right? So I'm going to be watching Killing Eve, because everyone says Killing Eve is Sandra Oh is in it, and it's about, she's a detective or something like that, and she's like sort of hunting a serial killer, but it turns out it's a assassin, or like a hot Russian assassin. I don't know. That's all I know about it. I don't know if that's correct or not. I'm just saying what came to my mind when I saw the poster. But I'm excited about that. I will be streaming on Saturday night, or maybe Friday, I don't know. Twitch.tv/FeliciaDay. I'll be doing the House Flipper game, so that's one that I've been wanting to check out. And basically, I'll just be preparing for our live stream. So that's it. I don't know, guys. I don't know how long I've talked, but it's enough, right? Please spread word about the podcast. Please review us on iTunes if you can. And next week, I'm going to get back on the structure of this podcast. This is, of course, still in beta. Excuses. But somebody's going to be interviewed next week. And hopefully it'll be somebody who will be, I don't know, interesting than this. All right. So I will see you guys online, and thanks for listening. Ta-ta.